While we're speaking about wild news, or I guess incredibly expected news, I'm sure you guys heard yesterday, Marathon officially delayed indefinitely. So I tried to find a video on it. The first one that came up was, I always say this guy's name wrong, As to Cross. I think I got it that time. But yeah, officially delayed. So let's hear what people are saying about it. I have some opinions, some theories, and some speculation on this one. So
that there is some news that has just dropped. Supposedly, Marathon has been delayed. I won't believe it until I actually see it posted from Bungie. An update from Marathon team. Marathon development update. So directly from the Marathon dev team. Thank you, not only for your passionate feedback around the Marathon reveal and alpha playtest, but also for your patience while we took the time to listen closely and chart our next steps. Through every comment and real-time conversation on social media and Discord, your voice has been strong and clear. We've taken this to heart, and we know we need more time to craft Marathon into the game that truly reflects your passion. After much discussion within our dev team, we've made the decision to delay September 23rd release. The alpha test created an opportunity for us to calibrate them.
Who's surprised? Nobody.
Focus the game on what will make it uniquely compelling: survival under pressure, mystery and lore around every corner, raid-like in-game challenges, and Bungie's genre-defining FPS combat.
All right, here's the prediction. I bet you this is no longer going to be an extraction shooter. They are going to switch. Well, it will be an extraction shooter, but I think they're going to switch it to a PvE game. That is my prediction. Number one. That's prediction number one. Prediction number two, they changed the visuals to be much more akin to Destiny. That's my two predictions. Because Bungie's genre-defining FPS combat, raid-like end-game challenges, that doesn't involve PvP, mystery and lore around every corner. The lore, the only lore that could be found was through the little talking heads. They need to like...
While we're using this time to empower the team to create the intense high-stakes experience that a title like Marathon is built around, this means deepening the relationship between the developers and the game's most important voices.
Do you notice how nowhere in here they're saying extraction shooter?
Our players. Over the next few months, we'll continue closed testing, including participants from the alpha to deploy gameplay updates and test new features as they come online. Some of our immediate focus areas will be upping the survival game, more challenging and engaging AI encounters, more rewarding runs with new types of loot and dynamic events, making combat more tense and strategic.
Nothing about PvP. More challenging, engaging AI encounters, more rewarding runs.
Doubling down on the Marathon universe, increasing visual fidelity, more narrative.
There's your Destiny change.
And environmental storytelling to discover and interact with, a darker tone that delivers on the themes of the original trilogy, and adding more social experiences, a better player experience for solo and duos, prox chats, so social.
Okay, so there you go. There is one thing with PvP. So yeah, this is everything people ask for. There needs to be a solo and duos experience, even just solos. So yeah, I guess they are planning on keeping PvP. I'm still sticking with my prediction. I'm still sticking with my prediction though.
Stories can come to life. You'll hear from
what I think it's going to end up being is more like the open world from Destiny, where it's a PvE experience where other people are in your world, and to beat like a boss, like a world boss, you're going to need to find people and team up with them in a larger scale. Like you can go get people from the universe. Like it's going to end up being more like a PvE shooter. I'm calling
us again later this fall when we could share the progress
which I'm here for, by the way,
alongside the game's new release date. Thank you again for your patience and much more importantly, your passion. Your continued feedback will help us make Marathon the incredible game experience we all know it could be. Okay, this is good. Look, guys, it is directly from people that are. We watched the video here recently, by the way, from Laura, who has actually worked with Bungie in the past, worked with Microsoft and developers, and she said it herself that if Sony plans on keeping Bungie alive, they need to delay Marathon. The feedback was loud and clear, and the reality is the September timeline was just too damn close. The game is just not ready. Because think about this. Imagine a world where Final Shape was never delayed. Imagine had it rolled out in March or February, around the same time frame as like Witch Queen Lightfall. Would Final Shape have had hit as hard as it did? It needed that delay. Marathon, I don't know how far it's going to be delayed, but at least from, the Sony corporate meeting that we listened to, they essentially said within fiscal year 2025. So that goes up until the end of, if I remember correctly.
It needs more of a delay than that. So this, what he's talking about is there was a head guy at Sony, I can't remember his name, said that they were planning on launching Bungie's marathon in fiscal year 2025. That ends like end of February, early March, which is when GTA. There's no way this is coming out then. If they're not announcing a release date until fall of this year, it's going to be after GTA, and they're going to want to put a good chunk of change in between there. So you're looking at summer 2026 or even into end of year, fiscal year 2026 winter.
March 2026. And I think that would be a much better time.
No, it wouldn't. That's when GTA comes out.
Release the game in March. And that will give them a little more time here to flesh these things out. We've made a video already too, like on what we believe would be things that could save Marathon. Granted, I know some of you just don't like Marathon. So that it is what it is. For those that are just somewhat interested in this game, or maybe you did enjoy a little bit of what you got to play during the alpha, I think leaning into the lore of Marathon's universe for just the OG players is really important. I personally would love to see like a social hub, but even like the other things that are like easy layups, something for more cater for solo players. You know, proxy chat is another easy one to throw in. These other things right here, like more rewarding runs with new types of loot and dynamic events. So
the thing with this is I think this is something that's really hard for me as like an extraction shooter playing, is this more rewarding thing. How do you make something rewarding that you are likely to lose next run, right? Like I think it's Tarkov where survival rate for like an average player is like 45%, so less than half the time. So you get this amazing new weapon. Odds are you're losing it next run, right? Like that's just the way that it works. Like the odds are you're going to lose it. So how do you make that rewarding? Arc does a good job of this because they make it so that you like level up your character, level up other things, can craft things, and that's the way you actually do progression. Bungie makes looter shooters. That's how they're going to do rewarding, because that's what they know. Like that's what makes a Bungie game feel good, is how good the different weapons feel in, say, Destiny, for example. That doesn't work in a looter shooter. So they need a different way of making it feel good, because I know if I pick up a great weapon, odds are I might even lose it that game, right? So that it doesn't end up feeling that good. New types of loot, new dynamic events. And that's another thing that Arc does really well. You have that protect slot. So you can get an amazing item and then protect it. But odds are that amazing item is not going to be a weapon, because you need to use that to try to protect that amazing. You see what I mean by this?
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I also I've heard of like raid-like, they mentioned like raid-like mechanics, but we've seen very little of that, right? If anything at all. You know, the mechanics so far is just like hold his own, things like that. Nothing that I would ever
so you could do something like that. That's not a horrible idea. I think that would be an interesting thing to do with a extraction shooter. Having a protect a weapon slot. So like you think of Arc, where you have like your 2 slots where you can protect individual items, and generally you put your quest items in there, right? But let's say in Marathon, you also have a protect a weapon slot. Then finding a great weapon all of a sudden feels amazing, because you know you're not going to lose that one good weapon. Now, if you find another good weapon, it's going to be unprotected, and then you have to extract. That's actually not a horrible idea.
Into the same realm as like raid-like. This also means that what's probably going to happen, what should happen, is instead of doing this rollout of different classes to play, and then you'll have more classes to play as time goes on, and like more maps to play, I just think Bungie should just roll it all out at once, delay it, and then just overwhelm us with the amount of content that's available in Marathon.
Agreed.
And in my opinion, that's the best way to really quiet down the player base. It's just overwhelming them with just a ton of shit to do, a ton of things to chase. And I think that's the direction they need to go. And the other direction too is like,
this is what overwhelmed me when I played Destiny. When I played Destiny, I leveled up to level 20, and then I wanted to level up my weapons, and I had to go to the different planets, and I had to grind out getting materials. It was like a whole nother experience because there was so much to do. And then Marathon just feels like, oh, played one run, I get it.
Still working out the kinks as far as like, you know, how's weapon crafting supposed to work in this? You know, even like right now, you can't even remove scopes and other attachments to weapons. You know, and I would say like in comparison to other extraction shooters, Marathon is quite frankly pretty bare bone. I feel like Bungie kind of has made this mistake in the past before. You saw it with Destiny 2 Vanilla. They tried to, their thought process was, let's make this a super approachable game for everyone. And by doing so, we're going to give people static roles, double primary system, and a subclass menu that's very easy to understand, that has, you know, these defined trees.
Which, by the way, what he's explaining right now works for a short term. If Destiny 2 was a 1 or 2 year game, this strategy would have worked. But when you're making a 10-year game, lack of depth no longer works.
What that did was remove all customization. It also removed just any desire to play the game because everything just felt very watered down. I think Marathon is almost, I would equate it to a Destiny 2 Vanilla, minus the story. Maybe even more, I would say even worse than that. Right. You don't even have like a real story. Internally, we know things are happening because the narrative director has now been moved to creative director, and hopefully that's going to mean something here. But I would like to see Marathon really pop. I think it could pop, but it needs this delay. So Paul Tasser right here, most of Bungie found out about Marathon delay right now. I don't know. I guess Paul may have been talking to
they didn't know.
Some people internally. Probably not the way they want to hear it, but
there's no way.
I'm curious to know what led up to this announcement to be made today of all days. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to see it fail. I don't think everyone wants to see Marathon fail, but like we talked about here recently, we made the comparison to Digital Extreme and even CD Projekt Red. The thing is like, if you want your community to rally behind you for your next upcoming project, you got to make good with the current project at hand. And a lot of people don't feel that way with Destiny. We see with like Warframe and Soulframe, at least my understanding, at least my observation, there's really been no major blowback toward Digital Extremes about the making of Soulframe. They also have just a kind of a different environment. You know, when the CEO himself is like being present in both streams constantly, and there's just
good point.
Tons of FaceTime.
I was going to interrupt, but he was just right.
Just, you know, Rebecca and the way she runs things, like it's really hard to find ammunition against DE. Whereas right now, Bungie, it feels like to us as players, has just been consumed in the corporate world. And most would argue that and say that happened a long time ago. But that's what people feel. They don't feel that authentic connection with the developer that we may feel with other devs and other studios. But that's gamers' problems. Games are not for everyone. We need to stop acting like game is for Destiny 2 gamers and they slander it like they're special. Well, I tell you what, it wouldn't hurt for Bungie to include a PvE mode inside a Marathon.
Did I not say that?
It wouldn't hurt to have a story or a narrative, maybe even a couple, some missions. It wouldn't hurt to have a social hub. These things wouldn't hurt. Dude, you know, sometimes.
Why do no extraction shooters have a social hub? Someone freaking explain this to me. Dude, Bungie has it set up. They have a social hub in Destiny. They already have it working. Call of Duty, DMZ, they had headquarters in World War II. Arc Raiders has their little like, why do none of the extraction shooters have this? It seems like the easiest and most logical thing to put into one of these games, and I don't get why none of them have it.
Sometimes you got to understand, it's like when developers are sitting there cooking and they throw things in there that may not even have like immediate
Cycle Frontier had it. I've never even heard of that game.
Anyways, so almost like a, you know, in some ways like a love letter to their communities. That shit is remembered. Our concern with Bungie has been, you know, everything is what's the return on this? Just like PvP maps. You've heard PvP maps are expensive. There's no real return on it. But yet here recently we covered why so many people have quit Destiny over the years. Many of them are PvP players that feel ignored. Cross just wants Marathon to be Destiny. So for me, guys, there's so many great games out there that it really doesn't matter to me what Marathon is. To be quite frank with you, I'm going to be spending a lot of time in Arc Raiders if I want to get my extraction shooter fix, and I'm good. I've got other extractions that we play from time to time. And speaking of which, extraction shooters aren't even my first go-to type of game. So for my...
Yeah, I've said it before. I don't even necessarily want like a huge... Like, I'm not huge on extraction shooters. I want Call of Duty to do a goddamn looter shooter. I want Call of Duty gameplay with a looter shooter. Like, take Destiny, take The Division, that kind of thing, make a Call of Duty version of it. I want that so damn bad, and it just doesn't exist. And like, Destiny would be the closest thing to it, because I think Destiny does do gunplay pretty damn well. But like, it doesn't exist, and I want that.
dedicated marathon folks, the people that actually play
yeah, Modern Warfare Zombies would be the closest to that, but it's still just not quite what I wanted.
Marathon way back when.
You need to be able to play it solo too. That's the other thing. You need to be able to play it solo. And you can with zombies, but not
maybe
well.
Some of my folks that play extractor shooters on a regular basis, I'll see how we'll see how they feel. And then on the other side of things, it's like my little shooter fixes, Destiny, Warframe. But then we have the Cube coming out at some point, and we'll be hitting up some of those playtests as well. So the point is,
the Cube looks dope.
This is like, there's a lot of competition all around, and I do believe that Marathon could be a good game, though. I truly believe Marathon could be a good game, but it's got to cook. And I think that maybe March of next year, perhaps around that time frame, would be better.
Summer next year.
I think Bungie, the big focus needs to be accumulating goodwill within the Destiny community and find a way to overlap that with Marathon. Many of the people that are playing Soulframe right now are Warframe players. You don't have to have this major separation of your communities. There's lots of overlap there. None of this matter. The game is dead on arrival. I don't believe that Marathon is dead on arrival either. Now, I do believe had it rolled out in September, Marathon is dead on arrival. I do believe that. But if they make the adjustments, maybe I'm just being
dude, if Bungie can market, like, look at Halo, look at Destiny. Bungie knows how to market a game. Aside from Call of Duty and Activision, I think they market their games the best. I don't even freaking know how they do it. It really makes no sense to me. I don't know how they build the hype that they do. I think Destiny is right up there with them. I don't think there's really any other studios that do it that well.
Overly optimistic, but I think if they have enough of a delay from now until next March or even February, like Les has brought up, they can implement these things. Marathon could be good. Here's my suggestion for Bungie. The next time we publicly see Marathon again, it needs to be visibly different. Like it needs to be a noticeable difference. The next time everyone sees Marathon, people need to go, oh shit, that's an upgrade. It needs to have a major jump across the board, and it needs to continue that through every system. You guys need to see Marathon. Like the next time Marathon is showed, you need to walk away going, initially being like, what game even is this? The next time they show the game off, it's got to be like when the Final Shape showed Prismatic, Dread, etc. Yes, dude, yes. Y'all remember, like, so many people were like, everyone was just like, Final Shape is going to flop. It ain't going to be good. And look, I even said it myself. It's like, there ain't no way we're going to get another Darkness subclass. Now, they went beyond that. They gave us Prismatic. But the point is, y'all remember that Vidoc, when they hit that reveal, we were like, holy shit. There was just so much happening. And it needs to be like that for Marathon. It needs to be the polar opposite of their most recent reveal that they did. And the next time Bungie comes out, it doesn't need to be, look, I'm not hating on anybody at Bungie right here, but I would like to know more than just who your favorite runner is. We're nerds. We want details. In my opinion, it doesn't need to be live. Doing things live is much more difficult. It may go well with the culture and everything, and I know like Twitch, y'all want to do things
I actually
live.
kind of agree with him there. Like, you don't need to do, like, I think a lot of the time not live reveals are way better. You can do more with them, make them look better. As soon as it's live, it's like, I get what he's saying. What he's saying
roll into sense. This thing Vidoc style. Be bringing so much information that it's almost information overload. Give me 30 minutes of literally everything you're bringing with Marathon and make it jam-packed of all the changes and shit that you're adding, where people just, it's one thing after another. Please, Bungie, take a page out of GGG's book and go about it this way. And in my opinion, whether it's Joe Ziegler or whoever, it needs to be someone in front of the camera that knows the game better than anyone else. And they just need to be spitting. Everything they're saying just needs to be one bullet point after another bullet point after another bullet point of just information over.
Yeah, it should be a thing of like what Apple used to do, but wait, there's more constantly. And there's certain Call of Duty games that have done that with reveals. I feel like Black Ops 6 on launch was doing that. We have Omni movement, we have prestiging, we have this bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. It's a shame that Black Ops 6 couldn't support that, but like something along those lines. That's how you sell this.
In this process, you'll be showing off gameplay, and the gameplay needs to be like everything top down needs to look different than what we have seen in the alpha. And I will say, I believe that can happen. If anyone here has play tested Dark Raiders over the years, that game has come a long way, guys, a long way. So it could happen here, but the delivery is going to have to be very important.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.
Aggressive. Yeah, he's 100% right. If we wait, so they said they're going to make their next announcement in fall. I actually didn't see that the first time I read through that. So fall is going to be the next announcement of anything. That's when they're going to give the release date. The release date's not going to be in March. They're not going to compete with GTA 6. That would be dumb. So you got to say at least either a month before or 3 months after. So April, May, June, that leaves summer. So either July or August. Games don't like launching in summer. They just don't. So then that leads September, a full year delay. Now, Sony is not going to want to delay it that long, but I feel like that's what they have to do. And then they need to come out and be like, we either kept the same art style and we paid the person that made that art very well, or they need to redo the art style and said we went more closer to our roots, more closer to what Marathon originally looked like, and maybe leaned into Destiny a little bit. It needs to be a different game that is showing this fall. That's the only thing they can do.